It starts in 1968, where Paul is taking his girlfriend Iris to the opening ceremony of a very tall restaurant, the Skyview building. Iris was very happy with this surprise because this tower was the tallest building at that time. And what's even stranger is that this tower was built 6 months ahead of its scheduled time. Now, apart from the two of them, hundreds of other people have gathered there so that they can go up and enjoy the view. But as soon as they start going up the elevator, Iris gradually starts to feel afraid that something bad is going to happen to them. When they go up, they see that there are already many people here enjoying the party with dancing and singing. Many people have gathered to witness this huge event today. However, Paul learns that due to the large number of people, they will not get a table today. So that they do not have to go back down again, they pretend to be guests and start enjoying the party with the rest. In the meantime, Iris, who was standing on the edge watching the height of the building, suddenly starts to feel sad, and she quickly runs towards the washroom. Meanwhile, something starts happening at the party which will soon lead to a big accident. A champagne cork hits a tree and a sharp object breaks the floor. However, no one can pay attention to it as everyone is busy dancing. On the other hand, Iris sees a child sitting alone in the bathroom. Her mother sees Iris and realizes that she's in a bad condition because she's pregnant. Although Erica knew in advance and decided to tell Paul about it today, she's also afraid that Paul will reject her when he hears about her pregnancy. Now Paul himself proposes to Sadie. Now when Iris tells him the truth about her pregnancy, Paul is even happier, and they are finally happy that they will be together again. Just then, a child who was constantly dropping some coins down, a guard tells him to stop so that he does not so that someone might get hurt by dropping the coins down. But even after that guard leaves, the child continues to drop the coins down. In the meantime, a coin flies into the air and gets stuck in the elevator machine of the building. Inside, Iris and Paul are very happy with each other. They're about to start their lives anew. Just then, because of the stuck coin, some screws of the building start coming out one by one. Then a chain reaction starts. First, a gas leak occurs. Then the dance floor that was made of concrete suddenly collapses. As a result, many people fell down immediately. Iris saw that Paul was hanging. She tried to save him, but he also fell down. At that time, everyone started running around. Everyone tried to go down to save their lives, but because of the gas leak that happened earlier, fire broke out all around, in which many more people died. On the other hand, the remaining survivors started running to the other side of the building. When some people tried to go down the stairs, it also broke, which means that now the only way to go down is the elevator. But because of the high ceiling here, Iris cannot enter the elevator. Meanwhile, many people are crowded in the elevator, which resulted in the elevator falling down and everyone in it dying a horrible death. Now, Iris was running here and there in panic. She too could not go down in this collapsing building, and if someone fell down from so high, there was no chance of survival. By then, one side of the building had collapsed, and everyone else fell down from there. That is, now only Iris was alive. And then she heard a cry for help. It was actually the child she had seen at the beginning. So Iris now ran to save him too, but he also kept falling down. She tried to save him by hanging on with one hand for a long time, but finally her finger also broke and they both fell down. And in the end, everyone died. It is then revealed that all this was being dreamed by a girl named Stephen, who is now in his college class. Stephen has been having dreams of Iris for the past 2 months, and he still tells his friend about it today. Actually, she was Iris's granddaughter, but her thought was why she kept having dreams about her grandmother's accident that never happened. So now she had to go back home and find out the reason for this dream. The next day, Stephen went home and met his father, Martin, because he needed to know about Iris and where she was now, because Iris had been away from them for the past few decades. So now Stephen started looking for Iris's address in her mother's things. Then Stephen's brother Charlie also came from upstairs, who was very happy to see Stephanie, because Stephanie didn't call her brother much after she went to college and she was alone here. Now Charlie was going to their house to meet their cousins. So Stephanie also went with him so that he could get the address of his grandmother Iris from there.
On the way, Stephanie told her brother about her dream, that how for the past 2 months she had been having the same dream of her grandmother repeatedly, where everyone in the tall building died, but nothing like that happened. Their grandmother is still alive, so why is that dream coming again and again? Stephanie wants to meet her grandmother Iris to find out. The two soon arrive at their aunt's house, where they meet their cousins Eric and Bobby. They also have a sister named Julie. This time, Stephanie meets her Aunt Brenda and Uncle Howard directly. She asks them for her grandmother Iris's address. However, her Uncle Howard does not want to talk about Iris anymore. He angrily says how their father Paul started talking like crazy after his death. All he kept saying was how the people who survived the Sky Tower accident were going to die one by one. Iris had 2 children, including Harvard himself and Stephanie's mother Darlene. Seeing Iris behaving like this, the police took Harvard and Darlene away from Iris, and Stephanie said that her grandmother must have wanted to say something that no one could ever understand. And now she wants to meet her grandmother Iris and find out everything. Although Uncle Howard doesn't tell him anything now, when Stephanie asks his uncle, he finds out what his grandfather's current address is. Meanwhile, he also finds old photos of his grandmother and grandfather Paul from his belongings, meaning that it all started 50 years ago with the tower accident that Stefan also sees in his dreams. But in reality, that event never happened in this timeline. Now, after a long drive, Stephanie finally reaches her grandfather Iris's house. Her house was built in the middle of the forest, and there are many fences around the house. Now, getting out of the car, Stephanie speaks on the intercom. She convinces her grandmother that she is her granddaughter and the daughter of Stefan's Iris's child, Darlene, so she should let her in. Now, Iris first asks Stephanie to put everything in a box outside, including his phone and car keys. He can't bring any sharp objects in. Then the gate opens and Stephanie comes in scared and sees that Iris is now old. Iris is happy to see Stephanie, but she doesn't go near her. Stephanie also notices that Iris is always scared, as if she's afraid of some accident. Now, when asked about Stephanie's mother Darlene, Stephanie reveals how she has been having dreams about her for the past 2 months, where they all die in that tower. But in reality, that never happened. Now that she hears it, she realizes that it all really happened. That day when she went to the Sky Tower with Paul, it really did happen, but she had seen all those scenes before. When the ball was proposing to her on the roof, Iris quickly changed all the events because she knew about the future in advance and took the coin from the thief, and she put out the fire and told everyone about the crack in the floor so that the whole event would change. So that day, all the people who were about to die in that tower, Iris saved their lives because of seeing the future. Then that tower was closed forever. But over time, Iris started to notice that the lives of the people she saved from dying in the tower were later dying in other events. It seemed as if they were supposed to die in that tower, but Iris changed the events and saved all their lives. Now death does not want them all to live. Now Stefan is surprised how this can happen. Here Iris keeps saying that the people who died later died according to the way they were going to die in that tower. And since Iris herself was alive, she somehow managed to save herself until now. But now 2 months ago, she was also diagnosed with cancer. That means she won't live long. And from that moment on, Stefan also started having dreams. That is, according to Iris, they have to save their entire family, because if Iris dies, death will start killing her family members one by one. Death will follow them all, because they were never supposed to be born. Now Iris gives Stephanie all her years of research on all this so that she can understand everything, the ways that she has been able to escape death so far, and this is why she doesn't get out of that safe house. And Stefan can save his family with the help of this. In the meantime, a magnifying glass moves and starts running up a tree with it, but Iris notices it. But now Stefan doesn't believe his grandfather's words. Because of what she said, the rest of her family thought Iris was crazy, so she started going back without taking the diary. On the other hand, Iris started thinking about going out, because she thought that she would die in some way. Death has been following her for so many years anyway, but this time she will die of cancer. So to make Stephanie believe that she is telling the truth and that she has saved her entire family.
So Iris comes out to give her the diary now. Then she says that whatever is going to happen from now on, Stephanie will believe every word she says. She tells her to move away, and then a fan breaks from behind and goes straight into Iris's head, and she dies there. She had predicted everything in advance, and that's exactly what happened. Now the next day, the whole family gathers at Iris's funeral. Here Stephen tells his father and Uncle Howard everything about how Iris told him before she died that death would come to their entire family as soon as she died, so they should all be careful, although now no one believes his words. And then Stephen's mother Darlene also arrives, who left them when they were young. So Stephen gets angry and starts to walk away from her. And when his brother Charlie tries to convince him that they should talk to their mother, then Stephen doesn't listen because their mother left their father's trust when they were young, and now he can't give her another chance. The next day, Howard organizes a lunch for his entire family because now the entire family is gathered together. Although Stephen goes home because his mother is there, and he starts researching Iris's diary. He learns from the diary what things they can die from, and death never leaves them, those who were not supposed to be on Earth. On the other hand, after breaking a glass during lunch, Bob accidentally drops a piece of ice into the ice. That means it is going to go into one of the members' glasses. Then he goes to visit his sister Darlene because she has returned after many years. He also knows how their mother Irish always used to scare them about their death. Because of this, Darlene's mental state, he gets sick and leaves his children Stephanie and Charlie with their father when they were young. Meanwhile, Stephanie guesses from the diary that something bad is going to happen to them. So she quickly calls him and starts heading towards their house. But no one can answer the phone as everyone else is busy with lunch. On the other hand, Howard joins his children right away. Just then, Darlene notices that a sharp instrument has fallen under them, and she picks it up and puts it aside. Although by then everything has started happening, but as soon as Howard sees her, the piece of glass that fell on the glass now goes to eat Howard's feet. And the sharp instrument that Darlene had picked up falls and starts the lawnmower, and that machine runs straight into Hurt's face. As a result, he dies there. Now from here, Iris's theory is confirmed for Stephen that with Iris's death, his entire family will start dying now because they were never supposed to be born. So Stephanie did her research and gathered her family and started explaining everything to them. Stephen started telling how after the Iris survived in that tower, death started killing all those people one by one. However, since the number of those people died was hundreds, it took many years for death to reach each one, and by that time, many of them had even given birth to children who would not have been born if they had died in the tower. So now death is killing them all, who had a connection with the people present in that tower. And finally, when it was Iris's death's turn to die, she hid in that cabin, and it took many years for death to reach her. So after that, no one was dying, but death will come after Iris's death. This death will come after them in stages from the eldest to the youngest. Meaning Howard was Iris's eldest son. So now after Howard's death, his 3 children will die according to their ages. First the eldest son Eric, then Julia, and lastly the youngest Bobby. After them, Howard's younger sister Darlene's family will come, where after Darlene, Stephanie herself, and lastly Charlie. The whole system of death will be like this now. But Howard's wife Brenda and Stephanie's father, these two are safe because they are not the bloodline of Iris and Paul. Stephanie also says that he has come to know about a person named Jabi in that diary who cheated death, so they can find him and ask him how they will survive. Although this time no one believes him, and they say that Stephanie is also going crazy like her grandmother. Saying this, everyone leaves. This time when the tattoo was done that night, Eric was working as usual. When after all the work was done, Eric was left alone in the shop. He starts getting tattoos on his hands in memory of his father Howard. In the meantime, he gets a message from Stephanie that she is the next number, so he should be careful, but Eric turns off his phone. Then things start happening from below. A bottle falls due to the vibration of the sound box. He stands up with a bang. As a result, the bottle goes and hits the cupboard. Another bottle of liquid falls. Since the lid is closed, the liquid starts to fall from there. As the chain is being eaten with the dough, the ring comes off, and the chain attached to the ring goes straight into Eric's nose. As a result, he cannot get out. On the other hand, a lamp has fallen down and caught fire. At that time, Eric himself hangs on the chain, and then a big explosion occurs in the shop. This time in the morning, Stephen wakes up his younger brother Charlie. Eric's phone has been off since the night, so the two quickly head towards Eric's house. On the road, Charlie learns that there was an explosion in Eric's shop last night. This makes the two even scared, but then he finds Tarek healthy on the road. He knows that he survived the explosion last night because fortunately he was wearing a leather jacket. Here, Stephen becomes even more confused as to how Eric could have survived the explosion. According to the system, he was supposed to die. So he tells Eric to be careful ahead. Stephen starts applying his own ideas from Eric's diary. That how the children playing football can get hit by the ball. There is a trimmer hanging from a tree next to it. A man was blowing leaves. So all these things can try to kill Eric. By then, Eric's and his sister Julia also comes here. So Stephanie tells Eric to stay away from the truck. Again, Julia was going behind, and all the previous things came together, and Julia fell into the truck again because of them, just as Stephanie had guessed. But all this happened to Eric instead of his younger sister Julia. Now the 3 of them quickly ran after the truck so that they could get Julia out of it, but they could not do anything. Finally, Julia got stuck in this garbage truck and died. Now Stephanie cries and apologizes that she made a mistake in guessing the system. But from here, Brenda reveals the real secret. In fact, Eric, who is the eldest, was not Howard's son. Brenda was having an affair with someone else at that time. That's why Eric's father is someone else. Brenda hid this power from Howard and Eric and everyone else. So since Eric is now not the bloodline of Iris and Paul, it was Julia's turn to die, and he died. Meanwhile, Eric gets very angry to know such a great power in his life. He leaves them. On the other hand, now the youngest of Howard's family, Bobby, he is alive. That means now it is his turn to die. Meanwhile, now everyone has started believing in Stephen's theory, so they start planning how they will save Bobby. Now death will follow him. That's when they remember how Iris's diary had the name of a person named Jabi who survived death, and Charlie has already found his address. He works in a nearby hospital. So now they all decide to go there and ask him about this. Although his father is someone else, but he still considered him his brother, so he also decides to go with them to save Bobby. Everyone now goes to the hospital and meets that Jabi. Now, after Stephanie tells him everything, Jabi reveals that he is none other than the little kid who went to the tower with his mother on the day of the accident, and Iris saved them. Meaning, according to the original timeline, he was the last to die after Iris. But Iris, he also says that this has happened not only to them but to many other people. Till date, no one has been able to escape death, and till date, no one has been able to cheat death. He knows that he built the house with Iris away from the whole world so that Iris could be safe there. But finally, Iris got cancer, and now he has cancer himself. Stephen asks how he will survive his death. Then, now according to Javi, he has found two ways to survive death in his entire life. First, whoever's turn it is to die will kill someone else in his place, and then he will get the life of the person he kills. On the other hand, the second way is that the one who dies will have to die somehow until he stops breathing. Then at the last moment, the rest of the family will somehow save him. Then death will leave the bloodline and go to its next victim. Now hearing this, Eric brings his brother Bobby outside. They initially think that Bobby should take someone else's life so that they can take someone else's life. If he does this to a child, Bobby will take the life of a whole person. But neither of them agrees to this, and they choose the second option. Now, since Bobby has been allergic to nuts since childhood, according to Eric's plan, they will make him worse by feeding him a nursery chocolate. Then Bobby will be in a state of death, and since he is now in the hospital, Eric will save Bobby's life by taking him to the doctor just before he dies. However, now the machine from which they took out the nursery chocolate gets stuck, and the two forcibly shake the machine and take out the packet. Along with it, a spring also comes out. Then they go to an MRI room so that no one can see them.
Eric tells Bobby to be safe here, and he goes to get a wheelchair so that he does not have to delay taking the dying Bobby to the doctor. But after a while, the MRI machine is accidentally turned on by them, and this machine attracts metal objects to itself. That is, death has started playing its game. Now, while bringing a wheelchair for Bobby, Eric takes his injection from him so that he cannot get the injection after getting allergic, and their plan works. Now, according to the plan, Bobby eats that chocolate. As a result, he starts getting allergic. But they did not notice that the MRI machine is also running behind him, which now starts pulling all the moving thing towards itself one by one. Since Eric had metal piercings done all over his body, now his whole body starts moving towards MRI's machine. Finally, as soon as the wheelchair comes towards him, Eric gets completely stuck in MRI's machine and gets crushed and dies there. On the other hand, Bobby, now dying of allergies, goes to take the injection from Eric's hand and finally gets the injection from his body. But by then, outside, he has reached the magnetic field of MRI's machine, seeing which a nurse goes to the room to see what has happened. When the door opens, the spring of the machine, which had accidentally come out because of Eric and Bob, is now attracted and hits Bob's head, killing him. Now only darling Stephanie and Charlie are alive. Since it is her turn next, she will go to live with her mother in Iris's cabin, which is the safest. Death can't do anything there. And as long as nothing happens to Darlene, Stephen and Charlie will be safe, because death runs in a system. Now they have no other choice. Darlene couldn't do anything for his children before, but now he is willing to stay locked in that safe cabin for the rest of his life to save their lives. The three of them finally reached that cabin after a long drive. But here too the gate was closed and there was a live wire. So Stephanie now pushes her car and breaks the gate and gets inside. But in the meantime, her seatbelt gets stuck and she gets stuck there. Although now their mother Darling had to be safe. So Charlie quickly goes inside the cabin with Darlene. On the other hand, now the death process had started again. So an electric wire falls on the cabin. As a result, the stop inside burst and there was a huge explosion. Outside, Darlene and Charlie were injured. Besides, the car also overturned. Where Stephanie was stuck in the seatbelt, she could not get out anymore. Just then a part fell on her and Darling died. On the other hand, Stephanie was drowning in the car and it was her turn to die. But Charlie ran quickly and somehow pulled her out at the last minute and saved her. Now Jabby had told them earlier that if someone dies for a while and comes back to life, then death runs through their bloodline. That is exactly what happened to Stephen, and the two are happy that they will be alive now. Now several days have passed since this incident. The two siblings are moving forward with their lives, forgetting everything that happened in their past with their father. Today they also went to take one of Charlie's friends from a party, where they told the doctor everything about how Charlie saved Stephen after dying for some time. But now the doctor revealed a big secret to them. He told them that Stephen never died. According to medical science, he just fainted. That is, death has not left them behind yet. And then while falling from a woman's end from behind, he got stuck straight in the middle of a railway track. As a result, the train now comes off the track and starts following Stephanie and Charlie. Finally, despite the two of them running away, they both get crushed under the train and die. That is, no one can cheat death. And here, with this tragic outcome, this entire movie ends here.